y'all, it is Crafty Hope here, and I'm working on week 4 of hashtag Seek, Gather, Create. If you don't know what that is, it is a mixed media scavenger hunt challenge from Lisa, Tina, Laura, and Melanie. I'll have links to them below. It's on Instagram, so my links below will be to their Instagram. But basically, they each pick a thing each week. This is the last week of the challenge, and you seek and gather those 4 things, and then create with them. So this week's items are something botanical, something orange, something with texture, and a receipt or receipts. So I'm going to show you what I have, and then I'm going to figure out what exactly I'm going to create, because I don't know yet. So I took a little thought on this, and for something botanical, I have chosen this, which is one of the Tim Holtz Botanicals. It's from a Tim Holtz Botanical pack. So it's one of those things that I'm not sure how I would ever use it. So I was like, you know what? If I pull it out, I might just use it. So for something orange, I decided to grab some embroidery floss. It's a variegated orange. So I grabbed that. For something with texture, I've got this bit of torn lace. I don't know if you can see, it goes like that. So I don't know what else I would use it for, but it's got some great texture to it. And then for a receipt, I just grabbed, I cleaned out my purse. I took the opportunity to clean out my purse and get some receipts out of it. So I am going to try to use those 4 items. I might throw more things in. We'll see. I also decided that I was going to try to use this little transparency. It's actually something I received from Lisa, who's one of the hosts. She and I had a bit of a swap about a month ago, maybe longer, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I haven't touched any of the things she sent me because I hoard things like that. And I decided this was the perfect opportunity to try to work in some of that awesomeness that she sent me. So I've got this, what do you call it? It's a projector slide, I guess. I have Bolton Castle, and there's also a date on it. It says September 72, and it also says made in England, and that's pretty awesome to me. So I'm going to see if I can work this in somehow. We'll see. This is kind of a weird little mix of things. So I'm going to get started. And I chose to work in this little junk journal that I had made. I knew I wanted something a little bit bigger than some of my tiny junk journals, but not anything too big. So I found this one that had a good size page in here. And a couple of the pages I had thrown in some magazine cutouts. I think this was one of the Advent journals I had done as Kasha from Everything Art had us make this at the end of last year, and I haven't used it a whole lot, so that's the journal I'm using. And I end up working in to that moon and star image to the final product, and I kind of like this. I do struggle a bit with the final product because everything's not connected in a way. But that's okay. That's a me thing, and that I want everything to have like a meaning, and sometimes it's just about creating the art, and that's what this is. So as usual, I'm starting this with some collage. I'm using all kinds of little scraps of things, and I'm making sure to include some of those receipts that I had pulled out of my purse. And I'm just using an Oohoo glue stick to stick everything down. I've sped this up quite a bit because really there's nothing big about it. It's the way I normally do. I tear things down, use my glue stick, and stick it down. So I've slowed this down just a little bit, and I grabbed my Stabilo. I wanted to add a little touch of dark to this, as well as grunge it up just a little bit, and add some movement. And I don't know, I really like doing these scribbly lines across the pages. They help me put my mark, I guess, on a page. You could use anything. I like the Stabilo because it bleeds, but if you had a colored pencil or a crayon or even just a regular pencil, that would be fine. And I decided I was going to add some splatters. I've seen Tiffany of Southern Gals Design, I think, do hers like this before, and that worked out great. It added some fun little splatters on there, and then I'm drying it. As I'm drying it, I grabbed this piece of, I think it's either coffee or tea dyed fabric that was in my stash, and I blotted up some of the wetter areas. And here I'm trying to show you that as I heated this, the receipts started to darken. Now, I had forgotten that receipts would do that, so I'm going to do that some more here in a little bit. But first I decided to add some color. So I grabbed this Amsterdam acrylic ink. I think it's yellow ochre. Really love that mustardy color. And I watered it down almost too much, but it's fine. And I am just moving it around on the page. Now I'm going to find out later when I go in to dry this that some of the places where I put the ink kind of protect the receipts from that darkening that they do. But I think in here somewhere is where I realize it's because right there in the center of my page is a really dark area, and I'm like, wait, that's not Stabilo. Where did that come from? So you see, I'm looking at there. I was like, where did this come from? And I'm like, it was the heat gun. So I test that one little bottom corner there, and I'm like, that's exactly what it did. So I decided to kind of darken up some of the other areas. And then I pull out a piece of the receipt and heat it, and look. Y'all, I completely forgot that receipts would do that they're like heat reactive, I guess. So I played with that a little, and then decided to use I wanted something kind of a darky blue, kind of like the night sky that was over there in that upper right corner. So I grabbed some Payne's Gray, and I'm going to water it down just a little bit. Because that's the Master's Touch, the Hobby Lobby brand. And that one, if it doesn't get watered down, is really like shiny. And I am not all about the shiny shine most of the time. So I'm just doing some blobs and then a little bit of mark making kind of with it. And then more smearing and just getting some darkness on there, like I said, to echo that dark sky that was up in that one corner, because I didn't want just one good and dark area. So I play with this a while, decide to add some more marks. If y'all have seen some of my other videos, I'm very much about kind of keeping a balance, having, if something's on the page, bringing it to another area of the page so it doesn't stand out so much on its own. And I really kind of am kicking myself that piece of envelope that's over on the right side of that page. It wasn't echoed anywhere else on the page. So that's the one thing I think I would have changed in this. All right, so I've brought that fabric out and I'm tearing it down to fit my projector slide because I'm going to make a pocket. I don't do this often, but I was feeling pockety. And I've got that bit of orange thread there. I've got it on my needle with a knot tied at the end. And I'm going to slow stitch. I'm just going to make some stitchy lines pretty consistent on this little square. Now I'm only going to show you the first line and a half or so that I make because I sat there and slow stitched at my desk for I don't even know, 20 minutes, and there's no reason that y'all need to see me do the same in and out of this fabric. So as you see, I'm just kind of weaving that needle and then pulling the thread, and then I'm going to turn and then go in and make another line just like this. See how I weave that needle just like that? And I was trying to keep the stitches kind of consistent. What I made on one line where I wove in and out, I'm kind of doing it on the other. I found recently that is the kind of slow stitching that I like. Now here's what I end up with. I really love the ombre effect of this. It worked out so perfectly. I don't think I would have liked it near as much if I had used a solid embroidery floss. So I'm tying that off, and then I'm going to snip it. And then I'm going to come back in with my journal. Now, I had put my journal off to the side and let it dry. I did not use my heat gun because I didn't want to darken any more of that receipt. So that was, I kind of was like, well, I'll do my slow stitching. But I knew I needed, it all felt very chaotic. I couldn't find a way to make everything feel cohesive. So I brought in some gesso, and I'm going over some of those areas that were drawing the eye and tried to create areas for your eye to rest. So I'm doing that with gesso, and I went over that piece of envelope there that was really bothering me. That was how I fixed that. The fact that I didn't put it anywhere else on the page is I just went over it with some gesso. And y'all, if I didn't like any of this, I could have, of course, just painted over the whole thing. But I was really digging some of this. So I just needed it to be less chaotic. So to do that, again, I am just putting some gesso down, moving around on the page. I know one of our hosts, Lisa, she uses gesso a ton in hers. And I was trying not to copy her, but still stay true to myself. Now the black areas, or the Payne's gray areas, were feeling super dark, and I knew that they would be perfect to do some doodles on. So I come in with a jelly roll, a white jelly roll gel pen, and add some dots. And in my viewfinder, I was not seeing those dots in the viewfinder of my camera. I see them perfectly now, but for some reason, when I looked in it, I couldn't see them. So I'm going to come back in with a Sharpie paint marker in white and add more dots that way. So it's like a sprinkling of big and little stars. So I'm going to take a little time and just add smatterings of dots with this paint marker. And as I did this, like I said, I looked in my viewfinder and could see that like some of the dark areas on other parts of the page also needed touches of white. So I'm going to do that too. And so this ended up feeling a lot like stars, and with that moon that's hanging up there, that also kind of, brought it all together for me. So, but I've got that pocket and that botanical and that slide, and that there's a disconnect there. So I'm going to try to bring it all together in a little bit. You'll see. It's, in my head, it works. But for anybody looking at it, it doesn't. But the thing is it's my art, so it doesn't matter, does it? No, it doesn't. When you make it doesn't matter how it looks to other people. It matters how it looks to you. So I'm playing with that pocket and all my other little elements that I had brought together, trying to figure out how I want to lay it all out. And the botanical that I had kept getting lost on the page. So I felt like putting it on top of that lace a little bit might help bring it out. And I was really digging putting all of that over on that bottom left corner. So that's what I've decided to do. And I'm going to pull out my Liquitex matte gel medium and a plastic palette knife and start sticking stuff down. We're getting there on this. And I'm just smearing where I know that lace was going to go. This is my texture element, but any of the things I put in here really do add texture to this page. The stabilo that's in there, the marks I made, all of that is kind of textural. So I decided I wanted a way to pull out my little slide from my pocket. So I've got my Crocodile too, and I'm going to punch a hole just in there. I'm trying to make sure too that I don't go over the words on the back where it says Bolton Castle. I really kind of want that still there for reference for me later. And then I take some more of my thread, and I'm just gonna double it up a couple times. So what was that, into quarters? I don't even know how much thread I took, y'all. And I'm gonna thread it through that hole and then tie just a couple overhand knots. Just 1 and 2, and then because those loops are there at the top of my thread, I'm just going to trim it. And it makes like a fun little tassel. I had played with the idea of creating like a beaded thing, but with that being inside the journal and not hanging, like if I'd put the pocket up at the top of the page, that might work better, but I didn't. So I felt I wanted something a little more flat. I don't like to make my journals too bulky. That's just a me thing. All right, so I'm going to get that gel medium again and my palette knife and just put it on there. Now I could have used, I thought about using tacky glue, might have been better, but while the gel medium was sitting there, I figured why not? It'll work. So, and I'm just going to stick that down. But for that, I knew that the gel medium would get real messy on that botanical piece, so I'm pulling out this. It's a foam, I don't even know, it's a foam and poster board adhesive, I think, that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's a little stinky, but it works. I've seen a lot of people use these liquid glues like this on things, and so I'm trying to try other adhesives out because I tend to just use gel medium and my Ochre glue stick, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be a little more adventuresome with some of my glues. Yes, I'm on a glue adventure, y'all. Is that sad? Don't tell me. I don't want to know if that's sad. All right, so I have grabbed these art stickers. I think it's Art by Marlene. I think I'm sitting right here. Make sure that's right. Yes, Art by Marlene Studio Light stickers. I have found them on the Joggles site. I will try to put a link to them if I can. And it says, what does it say? She gazed at the moon and fell among the stars or something like that, which went along with my star and moon theme. But my whole castle pocket botanical thing didn't seem to work out. But I knew, to me, it felt very dreamy. Like going to a castle in England is like super dream of mine. So I was like, I need this to be kind of also dreamy. So I am putting down the words. I think it's fabulous dream. Because, yeah, to do that would be a fabulous dream. And this has a nighttime dreamy feel. So, like I said, it's tied in my mind. And it doesn't matter how it comes across anybody else. Even though I'm still struggling with it. I think this page is, or the spread is really beautiful. I really love it. So, you know, it works. And I tried some techniques I haven't before and brought in some things I might not have otherwise used. This is the last week of this project, and I've really enjoyed it. So I want to thank Lisa, Tina, Laura, and Melanie for the scavenger hunt and the prompts. And make sure you go check them out and look for the hashtag #SeekGatherCreate on Instagram to see what everybody else made. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Keep on crafting on. Bye.